Hey, what up everybody, this is Steve Breach coming to you. Last night I was able to catch some WCW Nitro action on the WWE Network. I watched the September 11th show. Basically, I've been having fun watching Nitro. I watched the first episode the other day, got a review up on the channel for you. So I thought I'd just go in line and just watch the next episode of Nitro, seeing how they were building things up. Honestly, when I watch the WCW, I think that they have really good shots. You can definitely tell that Turner put a lot of money into what they're doing in order to shoot the show to make it look like it's basically, NBA on TNT or something like that. They didn't go cheap on, on cameras or shoots or anything like that. But I think WCW is still learning on how to be on television. One of the biggest problems I have with the show is, guys blocking the camera angle, such as Jimmy Hart, when they're having the big powwow at the end of the night about trying to see who's going to be on the War Games match. He's got his back to the camera and he's sort of blocking the view of the four baby faces that are in the ring, or during a match and they have a hold up. They've got the back to the camera when he's got him in a headlock, and they just haven't really learned. Like, this is camera side. This is where you look. When you hold the guy in the headlock, you look right into the television, so you're looking into the viewers instead of us looking at your back and your butt. I mean, that's the biggest problem I could see, is that they just haven't really figured that part out of it yet. That's probably one of the biggest things, of having a guy like Vince McMahon or Kevin Dunn around, making sure that those things don't get done, or maybe even just the camera guys aren't used to covering wrestling, so they don't know to switch shots in the director's chair and move those cameras around, because I'm sure it's more than just a two-camera shot, one with the ring and then one out there. I'm sure they got more cameras, and maybe they're just not switching them around. But this episode, kicked off with the debut of Sabu, who was coming in from ECW. As far as I know, I don't think Sabu had a WCW contract. I think that Eric Bischoff was just looking for names that he could bring in order to sort of pop the crowd and get people excited about watching Nitro. So I think that Sabu was only on the first few episodes of Nitro, and then basically he wasn't brought back anymore. But in the opening match, he has a match against Alex Wright. Honestly, I didn't think this match was anything really spectacular. I've never been the biggest Sabu fan. Sabu gets the win pretty fast over Alex Wright, and then after the match, puts Alex Wright through a table by jumping out of the ring and flying through it. The referee doesn't know what to do, so basically he flips his decision, giving the win to Alex Wright, and Sabu walks out the loser. Last week they hyped up a match, Sting versus VK Wall Street, for the United States Championship. I look at this as a match that probably would have been like a main event of Monday Night Raw. Just sort of a squash match for Sting that he wins pretty fast. Very little amount of offense from Wall Street on Sting. You could easily see that Nitro was pulling out all the stops. On this show here, you have Sting, you have Randy Savage, you have Hulk Hogan, Lex Luger, four of the biggest names in wrestling at the time. I'm sure if you switched over to Raw, you might have seen Shawn Michaels, you might have seen Bret Hart, but they definitely didn't give you everything all on one show. They spaced it out due to tapings, and basically they made sure that you would watch all the episodes if you wanted to see all your guys. Definitely WCW Nitro switched the game up. With Hogan having a match last week, Hogan having a match this week, and then Hogan also having a match at the pay-per-view on Sunday. That's 3 matches in 2 weeks for Hogan. I'm sure he hasn't wrestled that much in a long, long time. From there we go to Randy Savage versus Scott Norton. Scott Norton was looked at as the invader before the Outsiders. He was coming in from Japan. He just hopped the guardrail and he started pushing around the announcers. So Macho Man Randy Savage came down there knowing who he was, challenged him to a match. They're really hyping Scott Norton out as being, a champion arm wrestler. Plus, he was a good wrestler over in Japan as well. But basically, Savage and Norton have a match that's mainly revolved around the Dungeon of Doom War Games match, would be coming up. Basically, into the match, about 5 minutes, the Dungeon of Doom all come running out at once. They all go to attack Savage, but, mainly because it's, Brutus Beefcake, Kamala, Earthquake, in bad WCW gimmicks, and Kevin Sullivan. They make them look like goofs and buffoons, and when they get into the ring, Savage is able to attack them all. One problem is when he knocks over Earthquake, Earthquake trips over the rope, falls onto to Norton, and is sort of double pinning Norton, as Savage gets the 1-2-3 because he can't get Earthquake off of his knees because he got knocked out. From there, we go to the big main event, Hulk Hogan against Lex Luger. They really build this up as being a huge, huge match. The only problem is it's only 5 minutes because of TV, and they only have an hour, and they did 4 matches. So basically, Hogan and Lex Luger are in the ring. Lex Luger gets the torture rack up on Hogan, and it seems like it's all over. Hulk's up and starts the comeback, and as soon as we start seeing the Hulk Hogan comeback is when the Dungeon of Doom makes their second run-in of the night. Basically, this time all going after Hogan, never touching Lex Luger. Macho Man comes running out of the back with Sting in order to even the score. The Dungeon of Doom running off like cowardly heels. But then it just basically starts the baby faces all up in a rumble. Savage and Hogan are all pissed that the Dungeon of Doom came running in, had a perfect chance to attack Lex Luger, and didn't attack him, so they all think Lex Luger is with the Dungeon of Doom, which would be... I don't even know what his gimmick would have been if he joined him. Sting makes a case they need a third man because Vader's out of War Games, and they're saying that they should just add Luger. Macho Man saying that he'd rather go in there 4-on-3 because he doesn't trust where Luger's coming from. He's only been in WCW for a week, and he hasn't proven himself. Basically, Sting makes the case that that Luger was his friend before and his friend after. They're standing strong in the ring, and it comes down to Hulk Hogan having to make the decision. Jimmy Hart is the one that sort of speaks up for Luger, saying like, he's here, he's one of us, let's do this, which makes him look like he's about to really turn heel because out of everybody in the ring, to try to convince Hulk Hogan, it's Jimmy Hart. When you're listening to Jimmy Hart, you're not in the right spot. But basically, they all shake hands. The match is set for War Games, which would be Fall Brawl 1995. Hogan, Luger, Sting, and the Macho Man. And that's one of the best War Games teams to go in there out of all time. You would think that it would be a great match, but they're going in there against Kevin Sullivan, Kamala, the Shark, and the Zodiac. You gotta be kidding me, right? This show's gotta suck. Peace out, everybody.